Welcome, everyone. This is Dino, Art of Purpose at Creation 24/7 on X. And today I am joined by Jack Bly, our good friend, Jack Bly. Jack Bly is a coach who helps people scale their business with hyper predictable client acquisition systems. What does that even mean? It means he teaches people how to make more money online. Jack has been a fitness coach, one of the best fitness coaches that I have seen on here, founder of the Default Kings. And now he is teaching people how to scale their businesses because he's done it himself. And he's even gotten himself to over 100K per month numbers, which is, I think, is just absolutely outstanding. Jack is one of the first people that I met on this platform. No joke. And we go back a long time. He's been in our community for a while, and I am proud to have him part of this call and part of being able to teach you guys. So, what we're going to do today is an open call, an open session where we are teaching people how to create a predictable system, how to create their own acquisition mastery system. So, Jack, thanks for joining us today, buddy. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing today. I mean, I'm talking to Dino. How could I not be doing amazing here?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm really excited about this. So, for everyone who's here, can you explain what is an acquisition mastery system? That sounds like a lot of like big words. Can you define what that even means?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first off, like my personal experience, just like starting a coaching business or consulting business online, like one of the first things you have to figure out is how to get clients. Right? Like that's like one of the first big problems. It's like, okay, I have this offer. How the heck do I actually sign clients with it? And so usually people go about, creating content, maybe sending some messaging out, maybe dabbling with ads, whatever it is. And if they're decent, they might sign a client or two along the way and they'll experience just like kind of up and down months. They feel like they kind of just got like, there's no like real system. There's no thing where they can like just pull a lever and know they're going to sign more clients.
Mhm.
And so the system is what creates predictability. That's a difference. All right. If you don't have predictability, that means you don't have a system because you should be able to know for a fact, hey, if I do this, I'm just going to get more leads and that's going to result in more clients. So that's what a system actually is, predictability.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. And a lot of people, this is kind of like when we talk about content as well. Like what's your content system? What is the way when it comes to analytics, defining what is good and what's not good? How are things approaching? How are you doing things? So let's talk a little bit about acquisition when it comes specifically for X. So what can people do to find more like what can people do to find more clients? How can people use their X page to find clients to begin with?
Yeah. So I mean, there's the big three. All right, where I mentioned them before. So there's content, there's some form of outreach, and there's ads. All right,
Mhm.
there's no kind of like magic or new things to getting clients. Like those are the big three. And so our goal here is actually to create a predictable system with any of those three. So let me actually like kind of like back up and I'll go through like the actual like principles of this because that'll be more helpful than just like saying, hey, do this, do that, like kind of like high level thing. So can I like do a whiteboard here? Is that legal?
Yeah. And if it's not, we're gonna make sure it is legal.
Let me see. Whiteboard.
Do I
All
need to
right.
allow you to share video? Go ahead, brother.
I
Oh,
think I
there
have.
we go, man. Yeah, we
All
can
right, is
see
this
it,
working?
man. Yeah, let's
Perfect.
see it. Yeah.
All right. So in order to create like a predictable system to actually sign clients, there's 5 steps, or there's 5 steps to sign a client. And this is like true across any method that you use if you're doing content, messages, or ads. All right. So one is attention, two is interest, three is call booked, or this could technically be a different step if, for example, you close in DMs like here. Four is call showed, five is client signed. All right, these are the steps to take a stranger and turn them into a paying client who someone who whips their credit card out and pays you money,
Mhm.
right? So our goal here is basically to have what I call a stimuli for each of these steps, and that you put in front of prospects to convert them to the next stage. All right, so for attention or for like attention here, for example, this could be a piece of content. All right, you post some tweet, it does well, it drives views. All right, it drives attention. All right, just because something drives attention doesn't necessarily mean you're going to drive to stage two, interest,
Mhm.
right? So our goal here is convert people from attention to interest to call book to call show to client sign. And so that's what the system is comprised of, is like these microsystems.
Hmm.
And so we just have a stimuli at each stage. This could be content. This could be like a message, for example, that we send to people who engage with our content. And then a call booked is obviously people booking a call with you, a sales call. Did they show up to the call or not? And then do they actually sign up on the call? And so that's like the five steps. Does that make sense so far? Do you have any questions on that just so far?
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Cool. And then so predictability here. How do we actually make this thing predictable? All right, we have to deploy metrics. So this is like a major bottleneck of most new businesses online is they just have no data, they have no metrics, and everything's just random. And so what we can do, if you want predictability, you need metrics. Like you need to have metrics in the business. So example of this, for example, would be like close rate. So if you do sales calls, close rate is the percentage of people that are on a call actually convert to paying client. So let's say this is like 30%, for example. So you know basically, hey, if I get three sales calls, one of them is going to convert to a paying client. And so you want a metric for each of these steps. Because then what that does, let's say this one's, 10%, this is like 5%, this is like 80%, this is 30%. All you have to do then, once you have these metrics, is run numbers and do some math. And then you can figure out, okay, if I have, for example, if I drive 1 million views, X percent convert here, X percent convert here, X percent convert here, and then I assign, 10 clients, whatever it is. And so if you want to assign more clients, you just drive up and do more volume here once you know the metrics of each step.
Right. I think this is great. I think it's awesome that people are thinking like, hey, we need to have a certain amount of books and calls and stuff like that. Can we talk a little bit about how I think the question is for a lot of people kind of like, well, how do you do this with your X page? Because like I saw a thread today, which is I disagree with. I saw a thread today with somebody talking about how they don't think that X is profitable these days or XYZ, which I just think is just absolute baloney, right? And it's probably because they don't have a system, right? Like, let's be real. It's probably because they haven't put in place a system and they're kind of just like winging it. But how can someone get attention? I do like your three steps. So you said what was it? Content, DMs, and ads. Am I right on that? Was like the
Yeah.
three ways that we can get content, DMs, and ads. Excellent. I'm
Yep.
really curious about that third part, by the way, because that's like the one I don't do, or I have done, and I haven't really like. I've had okay success with them, but I want to talk about from like let's talk about these stages right here. So,
Mhm.
from like a content perspective, am I writing a thread? Am I writing a tweet? What am I doing to get somebody to provoke somebody's interest, curiosity? How do I get from one to two?
Yeah. So attention, main thing you're gonna be doing for attention is gonna be your content.
Hmm.
And that's how you drive your initial like followers, engagers, people liking, commenting on your stuff. So you want to nail that down, especially on X. Like, and so, there's it doesn't really matter technically if it's the thread or just like a simple tweet by itself, whatever actually drives attention of your target market. And
Hmm.
so like one of my favorite ways to do that is like literally just like look use like Twitter advanced search or X advanced search. I gotta say X now. Um, and look at people in your exact niche who have already gone viral. Look at their most viral posts and just dissect exactly what has already worked. How I see it is like if there's like a lot of likes on a certain post, I see that as what I call market validation, where the target market is literally telling you, hey, I like this content. That's a sign of validation. And so if you speak about the same topics or maybe a similar hook structure, that's been validated to the market. So you have a much higher probability of going viral than just doing something random that you just came up with in your head.
Right. And I think that's a lot of people are missing that. It's like they think they need to reinvent the wheel like every single time. It's like, oh, I have to come up with like the most unbelievable, like a fitness coach or something like that, or like a dad coach or marriage coach. I need to come up with the most incredible piece of content that is ever. No, you just have to be able to get something that gets the attention, right? And if it's worked once for this other person before, there is a much higher rate of probability that it's going to work for you. It's just common sense, right?
Mhm.
So when you're writing, let's say you write a thread, I want to talk about like how you position this. Do you have them, what do you suggest? Go like to the newsletter first, or do you have them go to a call, book a call with you? Do you allow like, I'm concerned about, this is what I'm concerned about, Jack, because I've seen this
Mhm.
before, is like number three, there's a lot of brokies on Twitter. Like, you know that, right? And so, like, you put out a link. Do you have them qualify themselves first? It's like, let's talk two to three. Do you have them qualify themselves first? Do you qualify them first? Do you like find out a little bit about their, like, take a survey, have them take a survey or something like that? How do you know that it's even going to be worth your time to do the calls? Or should you just have them go to your email list first or DM you first or like
Mhm.
what about step you have them interested in the thread?
Yeah.
Where do they go next?
Yeah. So typically, so we have attention now. You're having some views. Have we go to attention or interest and then call book. So
Hmm.
typically, what we've seen work best is I like let's say you're doing a thread, for example. At the end of the thread, I would do a call to action to DM you. Um, that's typically the easiest way. You can do email lists that can work, but just what I found works best is going to DMs first. And in that call to action, ideally what you do, like this is actually crucial, is you want to call it the exact pain point or desire in the exact words that your target market uses.
Hmm.
So ideally you have, let's say if you have like 5 or 10 past sales call recordings, take those transcripts, put them in ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to, hey, pull out the exact quotes when these prospects are describing their pain points. Like you want the exact words and dictation that they use. You don't want to change it. You don't want to say, oh, just, if you're in fitness, just lose weight, even though your prospect might say something completely different. Like you want their exact words. Because when you do that, that's again, it goes back to
Can
the
I
market
can I
evaluation.
share this? Can I share this? Can I share
Yeah.
your tweet that you've done on this because I love this
Yeah.
factor
Yeah. Go
right
for
here.
it.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now, and oh look, we could just show it right here. Okay, so share. Can you all see? Oh, can you all see my screen right here? Okay, so here's an example of this. P.S. Right now, I'm looking for 5 men who want to lose 5 to 10 or 15 to 40 pounds in 90 days. If you're okay with investing 2.5 hours a week, you can do this. DM me word body for details. So Jack wrote like, so you can see this. Here's the attention getter, right? If you sleep less than 8 hours, read this, which is really interesting because that's not really particularly like a fat loss. That doesn't like completely go into burning fat, but it's something that he's interested in. And then check this out, guys. This is really clever, right here. Jack, I think you're the best at writing these types of threads, by the way. Um, Look, he has all of these. Here's a few men I've worked with, and he shows the transformations. There, you can see the transformations. He has the testimonials all right there, which really like nail it down. But there's a way. I forgot how to do this because I haven't. I don't usually use this technique. I would if I were some of you guys, though. Okay, there's a way to put the send us a private message link in the. You can Google it and figure it out. Okay, there's a way for you to do that, and I'm going to tell you guys something. I sell a lot online, guys. I close mostly from DMs. Okay. I use spaces to do this, which is like really interesting, Jack, which is kind of like I like doing it because it helps me, it helps me build my brand and like the memes and stuff like that and the content
Yeah.
stuff. I love all of that. So, we have so I usually have people DMing me during the spaces. I'll like say, "Hey, I want to know if you're going to if you're going to hop into this next create publish profit, I want you to make a decision right now and DM me. Tell me the reason why you're not going to do it or tell me the reason why you want to hop in." And so like I'll get a lot of DMs that I'll talk to them and then I'll get them inside doing that and or into this community itself. So, what I like about yours is that I think direct messages from here are the best way to continue the conversation, not to an email list. And I know a lot of you guys like plug in the email list. Plugging the email list is fine if you want to just collect a lot of emails and grow wide. I call it growing wide. I think of it like a video game, like those games where they just clear the map off. That's cool for going wide, and sometimes you should. The problem I've noticed, Jack, is a lot of the people who are on email lists are some of no offense to anybody who purchased Masterclass through the email list. Okay, you're a cut above the rest, but a lot of the people who are on the email list are the laziest people, which is one of the reasons why you have to incorporate a lot of these Ben Settle email players strategies that I talk a lot about really waking them up, shaking the tree, and getting them in. Okay. And if you're not comfortable doing that with an email list and getting people to act, and you notice a lot of my emails train people to respond back to me. Did you all notice that? right? How I said I was going to delete 2,000 people on my email list, and then I did, and then I was like, reply back if you're still alive, okay? And like I got hundreds of responses because that's really what Jack is doing with this. Applying the same psychology, talk to people, and they wind up coming inside the community because of that. But if you don't have this like direct one to one, it's going to be hard for you to take them to booking a call with you, to closing a client, because when you're part of that itself, you're like shepherding them. Okay. You're like, hey, now we talk about it. Now you understand what their pain points are. So actually, let's talk about this. They DM you, Jack. What do you, because I can talk about what I do, but I want to know what you do here. So you write this banger thread. Can you put the whiteboard back up? I'm sorry. I just wanted people to visually see that. And hey, can I tell you guys something? What I like to do when I come to these, I bookmark these guys. So I'm going to bookmark Jack's thread and then I put it into my folder of great sales tweets. Okay. Now, remember how we talk about how you should be finding content? Sorry, Jack, they're going to but I always tell them like you see it, you bookmark it immediately and you put it into one of your bookmark folders. How do you show the DM button? You can use Google and find like there's a way to do it, guys. Trust me. Okay. Use an alt to experiment with it and then like figure it out and then like use it for your account. Do you know offhand or?
think so like for example, if you click on like that thread where my DM button is, go to your URL that pops up, and there should be like a it's like a Twitter ID or something it's called. And I think you just Google like find my Twitter ID, and there should be websites where you can just like plug in something and it'll tell you your ID, and that's what you swap out in that URL.
Yeah, there's an I yeah. There's a few videos online that you can do about it, but it's really worth it because you want to make things as frictionless as possible. You really do. Like, and so when the big, yeah, so when the big button is there, that's what they see, and you're inviting them to have a conversation with you, which makes the process so easy. So they DM you, Jack. Where do you go from there? Do you start? What do you
Mhm.
do next? Do you find out what their problems are? Do you qualify them? What do you do?
So if they're inbound, if they DM you first, I have an extremely simple DM process. Like it's super short and it books calls like almost immediately.
Hmm.
So all I'll do is if someone DMs me today, well, my VA does this, but he'll say, "Hey, thanks for reaching out." That's the first message. So just a little bit of validation. Thanks for reaching out. And then right away, he also sends, "Can you tell me a bit about your goals and situation?"
Hmm.
Very simple. Like just ask for their goals and situation. And then they reply back with their goals and situation. And so right there, right away, we usually get what I call the gap. So the gap is the difference between where they are currently, their current situation, and their desired situation. There's a gap in between.
Yeah.
So usually we get that right away. And so once you have the gap, I
Hmm.
can immediately go to the call because I know, hey, they have a problem and they have a goal, and I can help them get there. So this gonna sound stupid simple because it is, but it works. And then once they reply, I'll just say,
So
"Cool,
wait.
can
Let's
you?"
be. I like this. I like this because it's kind of similar to ways that I even do it myself. But I love that you're doing this real quick here, man, because you're so they come to you, they tell you the problem, they tell you your desired goals, they tell you what their gap is, you know what their gap is, and then like boom, all of a sudden you're just like, here's my calendar, book a call, let's get on a call and chat about this and help you figure out how to solve your problem, something like that.
Yeah, basically, all I'll say is, "Cool, can definitely help you out with this." So that's a form of certainty right there. Just transfer certainty. I can solve your problem.
Hmm.
I say, "Are you open to chat today or tomorrow?" I send my calendar link. Boom,
Perfect.
just instantly.
So you don't qualify at all. So it's like,
Yeah, we can get to that.
okay, you do okay. Like
Yeah.
tell us how you qualify. Now I'm curious.
Yeah. So I want to like minimize friction in all that upfront process.
Mhm.
And once I get to the point where I know they actually have a problem I can solve, they have that qualified, then it moves on to okay, we want some sort of financial qualifier, make sure they're actually willing to invest.
Mm.
I just put that in my Calendly form. So I have a question in there that's basically a financial qualifier. So only people that book a call are financially qualified.
What if they do and they're not? What if like have you ever had somebody try to lie and try to talk to you for game or something like that? Right. Like does it happen? It does happen, but you don't care about it because it's still good.
Yeah, it's rare. It's
It's
rare to
rare.
be honest.
Okay, good, good, good. So yeah, so you're qualifying them with some kind of, hey, on the calendar, you don't book this call unless you're ready to make a financial commitment, XYZ. Do you have them answer a question? Do they have to send like the answer to you first or something like that? Or
Yeah, so on Calendly, basically what they do is they select a time and then like a list of like 3 or 4 questions on there that pop up. And another key here is they're all multiple choice or just a click box. So a person does not have to like there's a lot of people what they do is on their calendar they'll put like 10 questions, all write in answers where the person has to spend like 15 minutes writing about their life story. And this is just way too much friction that's unnecessary. Like you don't need that right here.
mm.
Your only goal is, hey, if they have money, they have the problem, get them on a call because they can buy your thing. And so checkbox questions only. So
Ooh,
financial qualifiers, they're saying, yes, I have the money or no, I don't. And they just click, 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 click,
all right.
instantly. Should take 5 seconds for them to book call.
Okay, I'm changing now. I'm going the checkbox question. I'm going the
Yeah.
checkbox questions
You
because
will instantly book more calls. It sounds stupid, but that's how it works.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you what I do is because I actually have one of these. Like I I don't know. I always have something. This is why I haven't. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. I want you to keep rolling because this is really good. Okay, I want to know how many of you guys and gals are doing something like this. I have something like this. I have something like this. I'm doing something very crude, fly by my pants right now. It's not systematized like this. Cool. Andrea's doing this. Good to see you, Andrea. I didn't know you were in the chat. That's awesome. Hello. Hello to you. I think this is great. Melanie's here. Awesome. Look, we got some real winners here. I've got a box that people complete with their questions and what they want to talk about. Well, I think he's getting the problem before they even get on the call. So that's why he can make this part so frictionless. That's what's smart about this because a lot of people are trying to find out the problem on the questionnaire, right? So what he's doing, he's finding out the problem before they get on there, and he knows that, and then he just checks to see if they're qualified to be to do the call, which is really cool. Okay, so call booked. Okay, so now the call, now it's show time, right? Okay, let's talk about the call. This is really cool, Jack. I'm glad you're really doing this, man, because there's not a lot of people that show like underneath the hood, and I think it's just really cool. You know what you're talking about. Uh, let's talk about now they do the call. Okay. And by the way, we could have whole entire sessions on this. Like this could be a weekend boot camp, right? Doing live calls, how to do live calls, how to get people to book on calls. But let's talk about them showing up to the call. Do you have like a script that you use? Should I be listening to them? What are some like big tips for somebody who has, what are some of the things that are going through your head and how do you get prepared for these calls?
Yeah. So specifically, you mean like to get people showed up or also the
The ones
sales
that,
process?
let's just talk about the people who show up to the call. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm.
yeah, what we do as far as going from number 3 to number 4, it's really simple. So in Calendly, by the way, it's the only software I'd recommend is Calendly.
Yeah.
You can set up automatic reminders for text and email. And also it should automatically send them an invite to the call so they can block it out in their calendar.
Mm.
So please just like make sure you do that. It's like easiest thing ever. You can just set it up inside of Calendly. So 3 automatic email reminders, 3 automatic text reminders, set that up. I would just start there and KPI, what you're looking for, key performance indicators, at least 70% show rate, but ideally it's gonna be 80, 90%. All
Okay.
right, but if it's below 70, that's a major red flag, and that's where you look at changing something. A lot of times there's also, if any of these like metrics are really bad, like you're having a really hard time booking people or getting them to show up, a lot of times it's actually because of your offer. Like your offer is just not that good, or they're not even sure what your offer is. Because if your offer is really good, all these metrics go up instantly.
Mhm.
If you have a like insane offer, like everyone's going to show up because they want it. They want to know more.
If you have an insane offer, it's going to sell, guys. Like just straight up. We should definitely we should talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Like we should definitely talk about like a little bit about like the offer creation aspect of it. So do I make my how do I make an insane offer? Some people I like to call it a Godfather offer. An offer so good. How can I take like how do I first of all, how do I know I have a good offer? Right? How do I know I have a good offer? And then like what are the things I need to look at to make that I can do to implement it and make the offer great, irresistible.
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit outside the box here because this is how it actually works. So our aim here is obviously to get a stranger to pay us money.
Hmm.
So the offer, I was like, there's your actual offer where like your pricing and risk reversal and stuff, but that's really only one component. So
Hmm.
I see it as there's like what I call three pools of confidence. I actually learned this from one of the mentors, Charlie. But there's three pools of confidence. This is where any prospect can draw confidence from to buy your thing. So your offer is one pool. So that's like, are you actually solving the biggest pain point in the marketplace? What's your
Yeah.
risk reversal, time frame, pricing, things like that? That's your offer. That's the first pool. Second pool is you. So you as the coach, consultant, whatever your role is here. So that would be your backstory, your credibility. So for me, for example, just for example, I built a fitness coaching business, documented in real time, have all this proof and all this like cool backstory. So that's like part of the U pool for me, for my company. This could be any associations you have. It's also your certainty, especially if you do a sales call, the conviction, certainty you speak with on a sales call. All right, that's a U pool. And then we have the your clients pool. So that's just what it sounds like. So client results, case studies, testimonials, things like that. And so based on that, like you want to leverage what you have. So some of you guys who are just starting out, if you don't have client results, that's okay. You just got to leverage the other two pools of your offer has to be really good. And the U pool, like you need to share and document your own personal results really well. If you do that, you can still sign clients. So just leverage what you have to your maximum ability. But yeah, that's kind of like high level overview so far. We can dive in deeper, of course, if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about so yeah. Um guys, you can use this chat for questions, by the way, if you guys want to have any questions about this. So let's talk about call showed. Okay. So they're on the call with you, right? I want to talk a little bit about what you're gonna do if to make sure that they're gonna like let I don't know. Jack, you tell me where you want to go with this next. I'm kind of just like, should we talk more about the offers or should we talk more about the how
Yeah.
expensive does an offer need for it to Oh, this is a good question right here. How
Yeah.
expensive does an offer need to be to get on a call worth showing? Oh man, I can't wait for this answer. Go ahead, Jack.
I mean, typically you're going to want to be at least over 2K,
Hmm.
uh, at least 2 to 5K, if not more. If you're just starting out, like obviously you can start with lower prices, but if you're doing calls, you should be able to charge at least 2 to 5K for any like real offer that's good.
I don't do it for anything under 8K. Like, I'm not even joking around.
I
So
respect.
yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I can't like if they don't buy my 2K offer, right? Then they don't have it. So basically that's kind of like how I weed people out. Like if you don't have this, if you don't do that, then you aren't going to get the other offer unless it's extremely
Yeah.
rare. So yeah, so you have a I like what you're doing there though. I agree. Jack is right though. If you are just starting off, you can do it even for a 1K call. Oh, like even though that I just feel bad saying that. You can make it I would try to keep them brief, okay? But if I were to do that, but you can do it for I think at some point though, I'm going to say this, okay? This is interesting. I think at some point for any high ticket offer, somebody does have to have a point of contact with you on a call, okay? This is for all. Like even when I sell my high ticket, even though I don't do like a formal call, they have done calls with me, even if it's in a group setting or even if it's in a like a one-on-one, even just for a brief amount of time for something else. So it's kind of impossible, you know. I was talking with Art of Sales about this. It's like almost impossible to just have someone book for something like an 8 to 10K offer completely cold on a DM, right? On X. It's possible, and I've actually seen it before, but your probability of success is a lot lower as opposed to like, hey, getting on a call, talking with them, understanding their problems. So I do like Jack's idea though, like you can lower that price if you're just starting out and you just want to make and you want to talk to people. The positive about this though too, Jack, is you're going to learn a lot about your audience and the people who are booking your calls even by just getting on the call with them at the beginning stages too. And you'll understand their pain points, and that's going to help you sell. That's going to help you write threads. It's going to help you write better calls to action. So there's not a lot of downside to doing it because, like, what else are you doing if you're just starting out too? Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Would you be opposed to that too? Like, even taking a few guys who might be a little, maybe, okay, I'm going to do this, or it's a 1K offer, going outside the box a little bit and just getting on calls so that you can understand the audience more, right? There's just even no downside to
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
No, yeah, you absolutely should. Yeah, because like the most fundamental thing in your business is the offer. So if you don't even know if you have your offer and your messaging dialed in, then you don't really have a business. So talk to people. Like that's the easiest route is talking to people one on one. And just like I said, like getting the exact quotes where you can pull out this is their exact pain point and how they describe it. Not my
Absolutely.
assumption of the market, but how actually they describe their problem. That's
Yes.
the key stuff you can throw in all of your content, your marketing, all your stuff right there. So
Yeah,
that's extremely helpful.
that's the key, guys. Is like understanding it at that level. That can help you become a better copywriter, right? Because remember what copywriters do, guys. We had Doug Deanna on here, and all he was talking about is how he goes on forums. Ben Settle, like I go on forums and like I read the language that they're using in the forums to talk about their problems, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a copywriter, a social media influencer, if you're selling anything or a high ticket closer, you need to understand what people's problems are. And if you don't understand what the problems are, you're never going to make any money. Okay. This is a pretty good one right here. Jack, he wants to know a little bit about how your funnel works. People buy your one on one coaching packages. Have they already lower ticket offers from you? Usually, I know that you have back end offers. Okay. But, and we can talk about back end offers in a second because I think that's the most underrated thing that exists, really. But the one-on-one coaching, are most people just coming in, or are they from a low ticket, the tripwire or something like that? Or is it just like straight up you get on a call and they buy?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we basically have 1 minute offer,
Mm.
um, one high ticket offer. The reason I like this is just operational complexity. So if I have just one offer where if I just push more traffic to this offer, that's going to make us the most amount of money rather than selling a $10 thing. It's just easier. Like I don't have to worry about 5 different offers, 5 different fulfillment models, all these different systems. Like it's just easier. So we just have 1 minute offer. That's where we push. We literally have strangers that don't know me at all convert by going through this process and pay me, a good sum of money. And they just go right away. So that's what I do. But there's
Yeah.
definitely you can do both. Like either works, but that's just what I found the easiest for me.
Yeah, and it's whatever is good for you, right, is what's gonna work, and it depends on what kind of business you're building too. Like me, I'm like that. I can have all the whiteboard behind me and like this going there, this goes there, this goes there. This I found that works best for me, right? But Jack, just one offer, you sell one offer, that's fine too, right? Especially if you have a lot of demand for that one offer, right? Then
Yeah.
that's what you should sell, right? So let's talk about. So that's interesting right here. How do you track your KPIs and your numbers?
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm assuming everyone here is under like 50K a month, I would assume.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, so I would just do simple like Google Sheets for this, and you have like 3 main trackers you need to have. So if you have these 3 trackers, like you should be able to see everything going on in the business, and you should easily like instantly be able to see like what is the actual bottleneck, like why aren't you growing the business?
Mm.
So we have your lead tracker. So this is where you should track everyone who gets to stage 2 your interest. That's leads. All right. So anyone who reaches out to you first, or anyone who pause replies if you reach out to them and they actually reply positively, like, yeah, I'm interested. Anyone like that, they're at this stage, track their social media URL, put them in this lead tracker because you can follow up with them. I've had so many clients where we just follow up with them like 3, 6 months from now, just kind of re-engaging their interest and they sign up. So if you keep track of that, like the lead tracker is like insanely high ROI. No one does this, but lead tracker is number one, and then we have sales trackers number two. So that's tracking call show rates and close rates, like the main thing you're tracking there. And then you have your P&L, so profit and loss sheet. So that's just tracking obviously like your income, expenses in the business, that stuff. So lead tracker, sales tracker, and P&L are my main
Is
three.
that leadtracker.com? Is that what that is?
No,
Or
I build my own.
oh, you have your own. You just have your own. Okay. That's what
Yeah.
I kind of do. I keep track, and I think that is one of the most important things you need to do online is be able to track, like have a place for you that's where it's tracking every single one of these leads. And you should reach out to them quarterly, every few months or so, 3 to 6 months, and get back in touch with each and every single one of them. I think one of the things is that, and we had who was it that we had on before? Andy Strom,
Mhm.
right? And he said something that was really interesting. He said, everybody listening, you have $10,000 sitting in your DMs right now. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's true. You just haven't gone in there and have gotten that money. And I've even proven it to myself because I was like, you know what? I think he's right. Like, let me go back to like the leads I've had before, the people who are interested in before, and then like, boom, I put this together, and I was like, wow, I was so surprised at how much was already sitting there. And I think a lot of it is already sitting there for you guys. You're just not keeping track of it, right? One of the things I like to do recently, Jack, is I like to pin my DMs that I'm having conversations with an ex. So like anyone who I'm having an active conversation with, they get pinned, right? And you could just keep a notebook or a whiteboard or something and then like go back if even if they're like not or like, hey, I'm interested in this, but I need XYZ. You need to but you need to keep tracking. You have to have everybody's like name down somewhere. Good question here, Jack. What made you start with fitness coaching? Was it a problem you solved yourself, and were you passionate about something? Guys, Jack is a legend in the fitness coaching biz. What's your opinion on passing an obsession and your offering? We were talking about that before the call started, man. Is it needed? Thank you. Ooh, this is a good
All right.
question.
Good
Go ahead.
questions. Yeah, let's do it. So let me start. So this was 2019, where I started this business. And the reason I started this is because it checked, I didn't know it at the time, but I remember when I checked the box of an actual like real problem the market wants. So I'll say something controversial. It's like, hey, if you're passionate about something, but the market doesn't care about it, like it's not gonna work. Like you need to have that box checked. So that's essential. It has to have a real problem in the market, and weight loss or growing muscle, those are real problems in the market. And so I started there because I solved it myself, basically. It's like one of the only things I had at 2019 solved and figured out. I was like, oh, I know how to be fit. So let me sell this thing. Um, Let me see what else you got here. What is your opinion on having passion, obsession, and what you are offering? So
Yeah, well, we
it's
talked about this. Like, Jack is no longer a fitness guy. He helps coaches build and scale their businesses, right? So that
yeah,
was something that because you were more passionate about that, right? But when did you know, like, should people follow more? I think a good question right here is should people follow more of their passion, right? Or should they follow what the market really wants more, right? I think that's kind of like what the question is
yeah,
asking.
yeah. So you absolutely should follow your passion when it's validated by the market. But if you're doing something really weird that the market doesn't care about at all, you're not going to make money. That's like the hard truth. So if your passion does line up with something the market wants, then absolutely do it. Like absolutely.
I think you should make I think you should make the money first. And then once the money is there, I think then you can just do what you want when you have that kind of
Yeah.
part. But and try to like align the two as much as possible, right? I
Yeah.
think you should try to like but don't be afraid to like, do these things that people want, and you're going to learn something from it. You're going to learn something from the whole process, and it can help you later on sell your passion better, right? Like it's just going to be easier for you to do if it's market validated. I think did you want to add something to that, Jack?
I mean that's a big thing. Like obviously like down the line, like once like you don't need money anymore and you're set up for life, like you have a lot more flexibility. Like because then you're just like making decisions based on like your value. So you can operate more of a passion business then. But if you're just broke right now, like your kind of mission is just like don't be broke. So let's make sure it's an actual business that you can
I
run.
don't think there's anything wrong with saying that either. It's like you have to keep the lights on, like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and so, I don't look down at anyone who's doing even if, that's fine as long as that market's valid. I think that's what people need to focus on. And again, later on, it's going to help you become better at selling your passion. Cool. Let's do this. We've been talking for the past 45 minutes now. I'm going to open this up completely to questions. If somebody wants to unmute your microphone, we got about like 15 people in here. There's a lot of people in here, which is really cool. And so I'm going to close the whiteboard and I'm going to kick it to you guys, all of you beautiful people out here. If anybody wants to join in this conversation, just say, hey, I want to talk. Just put it in the chat and you can ask Jack a question directly, or you can just leave your question here. And we can, you've got a guy who's absolutely banking. You got a question, Luke? All right, Luke, my man, why don't you unmute your microphone and ask Jack directly?
Hey Jack, yeah, so I was just wondering when you're on that sales call, like what does that look like? You just say, "Hey, so you have this problem, right? I can solve it." Like how
Yeah.
does that go?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So with this, I learned this from Cole Gordon. You know who Cole Gordon is? He runs like multiple eight, like many, like eight-figure companies. So he's really good at his stuff. But there's basically these buying beliefs. All right, if we check off these certain number of boxes, these certain beliefs, they will buy, period.
Mm,
And so on the sales call, I don't do sales calls anymore. I have a closer, but we'll basically have a checklist of these beliefs. So what these are, I'll kind of go through them. So we have pain is number one. So that's like the actual problem. Is there a real pain point there? Number two is doubt. So doubt's really crucial. This like if you run into, hey, I want to just try it out myself, that objection, that's because there's no doubt present. And you can establish that on the call. So doubt's number two. Then you have some doubt of, hey, I need help basically. I can't solve this problem myself. Number three is urgency. So urgency to actually solve the problem now. This is where you get, if you don't cover this, super common objection you'll get is I need to think about it. Let me do this a month from now. Let me circle back. That's because you didn't establish urgency on the call.
Hey, can we talk about just urgency right now? Because I'm curious, like, do you one of the things I do is like I have that's why I love cohorts, right? Because it's like we start tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a built-in urgency on there. But what if you're just a fitness coach? Do you just say, "Hey, I'm only taking two or three people," or do you limit it? Or how can you lay into urgency?
Yeah, so there's external urgency where you're talking about like right now of like, hey, just the mechanism, the offer. Like we only have two spots. We have this closing date. We have cohorts. You can do external urgency, or there's internal urgency. That's like actually getting like talking to them on a call and establishing like what's a real reason they should act now. Or so that's done through like specific questions on the call.
I like that, man, because it's like, if you have somebody in the fitness world and they're just like, hey, I got like this cancer diagnosis or this, I'm like 80, 100 pounds overweight. It's like, well, every day you stay in that condition, that's one day you're moving closer to the grave. Like, really, like,
Mhm.
seriously, though. Or like if somebody in a marriage, right? If you're a marriage counselor or something like that, it's like you can say, well, you know what? Every day you don't work on this, every day the problem's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it's going to become a bigger problem. So like that's one of the ways that you can lay in there. That's really good. I love the internal urgency. I forget about that one. That's really good, man. So pain, doubt, urgency. What else is on your checklist?
Mhm. Oh, let me open the door real quick. My dog, she goes crazy.
That's okay. Do your thing, Jack. You guys enjoying this? I told you you would. This is stuff that we need. This is more for the advanced people in this community. You know, everybody's like, AOP, I want to learn how to go write a tweet that gets 50K likes. It's cool. But you know what? You need to learn how to make 50K months, right? And that's why this is so valuable, right? This is the most valuable stuff that's out there. So pain, doubt, urgency. This also helps you from, yeah. Go ahead. What else do you consider?
All right, so next belief we have here is desire. All right, so
Mhm.
this is pretty straightforward. Like they're actual like concrete desires. So you want to have ideally some measurable outcome for this. So if it's fitness, obviously get like how much weight they want to lose. If it's obviously a business offer, it's quite easy. How much more money do you want to make? There's some offers that are unique, but you still want to try to get measurable if you can. So you want the measurable concrete thing. You also want the deep driver, like what's their actual motivation to take action. So that's what makes up desire there is concrete outcome and then also their driver. So those are kind of the core four there. There's also financial as well. So that's like, do they actually have money? That's the next belief. And then support is the last one. So support is like, this is how you avoid spouse objections. I had to talk to my wife, stuff like that.
Yep. Belief. Yep.
So if you check off those boxes on a call, you actually do that. And the key is like on the call, you do this through questioning. You're not gonna be talking and like selling super hard. You ask them specific questions and they come to the conclusion themselves of I have this pain, I have doubt that I can't solve it myself. I urgently need to act now. And I want to get to these desires. All
Mm.
right, I have the support and I have the financials to make this decision right now. All right, when you actually ask the right questions, they will come to all those conclusions themselves and they have all those buying beliefs. And then the result is that they pay
I,
you
I
money.
want to see. I want to see more of you doing that. You can do this with DMs, guys, too. Even if you don't
That's
like,
true.
it's so true. It's so you can do this straight with DMs. You can do this on calls. You need to start implementing the system. This is not really any different than what I've talked about in some of the previous cohorts at all. But I do want to say something. The problem is some of you guys aren't putting yourself in an opportunity to have enough conversations with people to even sell to them on X. Like that's one of the things that's happening. It's like you need to rep this, you need to do this, and you're not really giving yourself like how many of you have gone through something like this or have sold something to someone this week? I have, right? Right. Luke is shaking his head, yes, right? And so, a lot of you should be at the point where you're almost doing this, I dare I say, like almost every day. Okay. Almost every day. And so some of you guys aren't so if you're not doing it every day, what box are you not checking? Let me ask you guys that. Because it's actually not a box right here, but it was the first thing that he said. You're not getting their interest, right? You're not piquing the curiosity. Yeah, that's what's happening. So you guys need more of like this. Hey, we're coming through the. You need more people coming in. You either need to make it more frictionless. I would be studying what Jack does or talking with Jack, especially getting on Jack's newsletter. That would be smart too, right? And and trying to figure out like I think for a lot of you guys, it's that you haven't put in the reps and you don't have enough traffic coming through the door because you're not focusing on the attention. Can we talk about how you use ads? Because I was curious about that. Do you run Twitter ads? Can you tell us a little? Are you still doing that? I know that you were doing that for a while. Correct.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, so on Twitter, I don't run Twitter ads. I don't like them. So
Okay.
definitely, I mean, what you do, kind of like what I would consider paid ads on Twitter is like paying for retweets and shares from other people. That's what works best in my experience. If you're gonna run ads, I would actually recommend Meta ads. That's what I do now. It's just by far like their ad platform has by far the most data and it's the most sophisticated. Like it's easiest to get results. So I would do Meta ads if you're actually like want to do like legitimate paid ads.
I should probably do stuff like that. That's fantastic, man. I love that. So you're running meta ads. Yeah, my experience on X with ads, it's like, why? Like, I already have so many leads on X anyway. It's like, why? I can just pick up my phone and host a spaces or write a thread, get a few other big accounts to give it a pop or something like that, and then focus on talking with people in DMs. So yeah, my issues with sales calls is my tight schedule. But you can adapt the system. That's really cool. So Arnett, do you have a question right here? You can unmute your microphone and ask it for Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi Jack. So it sounds like if you're using Meta ads, you're probably posting Reels or something like that on Instagram. How do you repurpose content from Twitter X onto these other platforms, or do you just put original content on there? What's your process there?
Yeah, so I mean, you can you can look at my Instagram. Honestly, I don't post that much on Instagram, but we have the ads working.
Mm.
So I mean, I have like some carousel posts of like just like threads I've written on Twitter, and I'll repurpose them in like a picture carousel you can scroll on. I have some reels, but honestly, like with my ad funnel, like it's just profitable, so I'm not going to change it. I don't really care for doing extra work I don't need to. So that's what we do there is just get people to opt in, put them through my funnel, and then they book call. So I don't have to do anything extra.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. So it sounds like most of your activity, at least on the interest side, is within X. You might be repurposing them, creating a carousel on Instagram, but it doesn't sound like you're putting too much effort into that platform.
Yeah, not necessarily because like I'm just looking at cost per call and client acquisition costs. All right, those are the key things, like CAC, especially client acquisition costs. Because I know, like, hey, if I'm paying $1,000 for a client and it makes me $8,000, it's just like it's a money printer. Like, let me just put more. There's no reason to manipulate the machines and variables if it's working. Let me just do more.
I love the way you're looking at that. That's great. I love it, man. Because yeah, it's basically a money print. It's about how much you can handle. What do you do to? So you want to talk a little bit about? I think a lot of guys that I talk to on X, one of their biggest issues is they don't have any kind of like back end offer. It's like really strange. I can't like wrap my head around it. Where it's like, and so I see a lot of these guys, Jack. They have a business, they get successful, they have maybe like 1 or 2 good years, and then like the well dries up for them, so to speak, right? But I'm like, what happened to like all of the clients that you've solved? And they always give me this ridiculous response back, Jack. They go, well, I solved all their problems. No, you didn't. Okay. And like it was all, I'm sure there's something else you could help them out with, right? Like, and you know them very well and you've already built a relationship out with them. And just blows my mind that I get like this ridiculous comment back to me. But you want to talk a little bit about like back end offers and client
Yeah,
retention? Go ahead.
let's do it. Let's whiteboard up it.
Oh, I
CAC.
love it. We've got a whiteboard for client retention. I can't wait to see this.
Here's what we got here. Like this is what
This is my thing. It's like my favorite thing to talk about, actually. I
yeah, it's
love.
like business. Like all we have here is like business is arbitrage. So for if you're familiar with like eBay arbitrage where you like buy something at a store, like a garage sale, and then you sell it on eBay for more. Like we're
Mhm.
familiar with that
Oh,
arbitrage concept, right? That's all business is creating a machine where if you put $1 in, you can get $10 out. So like there's two numbers we're looking at. We're looking at LTV, which is lifetime value. So that's like how much a customer pays you over their lifetime. So just like you're saying, a backend offer, that'll increase LTV. So if someone pays you, 3K upfront for like your normal offer, after that program is up, you have a backend offer. We can take their LTV from 3K to 6K or 10K. All right, that's the LTV game. And then the other metric we're looking at, which honestly doesn't apply too much if you're just doing organic, is CAC, client acquisition cost. So the whole game of business is just making CAC as low as possible and making LTV as high as possible. And then you just do as much volume as humanly possible. So if it costs you $10 and you're making $100 from that, you just jam more into the machine. That's it. So that's like kind of the concept of back end offers, just to increase LTV. Like that's the whole aim there.
And you don't have to pay for acquisition either, right?
Yeah, free. Yeah,
Like
that's like
you don't have to pay for like I don't understand why it's like you guys get so I think it's because so many people study the front end so much and like they're just like all like in their brains all they do is think about the front end. But I'm like, look, if you have a good offer and it works, right? This is why making your clients happy should be your number one goal. Okay? I'm just telling you this because all that does is solve all the other problems later on. And so people are like, "Hey, you know, I want to continue with this or give them some kind of deal." And you can actually give them a percentage of like if it costs you $1,000, right? Well, maybe you can knock $500 off of them renewing or something like that, right? And then so that's going to be able to allow you to keep and you're choosing who you work with too, right? Like it's there's so much upside to it. I don't know a successful long-term business that hasn't focused on having great back end offers. So the front end and the back end have to be just absolutely great. Recurring customers are amazing. They stabilize the business. Absolutely. You have every offer, the way that I look at it, Jack, every offer you have should lead to another offer. Every offer. Like there is not like, I don't know. But that's the way that I see it. But I'm loving this conversation. Jack really does have a lot of really great insights on this, guys. I hope that you're learning a lot from this right now. All right, open us up for some cues here. I've been asking cues for a while. We've been talking, and some of the questions we've gotten have actually been really good, Luke and Arnie. These have been really great questions. Let's see some more questions from you guys. You want to talk about any particular part of the offers, client retention, getting
I
people to
know Tim
calls?
here had a question, looks like.
What's that?
Looks like Tim had a question earlier in the chat here about
Okay.
yeah. Really, I just wanted more elaboration on my number one objection is I got to think about this. So you said it was urgency. I failed to create urgency, but I would love for you to elaborate more on that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So two main like phases of the sales call, right? So we have the discovery phase. That's where you're asking the questions, trying to check off all those boxes. And then you have the actual like, closing process where you're making your pitch. Here's the price, and you're trying to close the deal. So we want to cover this upstream. We don't want to leave it until they actually say, I need to think about it, because it's way hard to overcome. Like once they say it, like you want to overcome it upstream.
Mm.
So, lots of different ways you can do this. I'll give you a few examples here. So, one of my favorite ways is kind of like this applies to anything, like basically asking them how long they've been working to solve XYZ problem. How long you've been trying to lose weight for? Oh, I've done keto, I've done this. It's really been since like, 2018. Oh, wow, like 6, 7 years now. Wow. I mean, I gotta ask, like, you've been at this for like 7 years now, trying all these different things. Like, why now? Like, why all of a sudden, like, do you want to like reach out and like actually like solve this problem for good now? So that's like a why now question. Obviously, we're trying to create urgency. Like, why is the reason you want to take action now? A lot of like my urgency based questions are just justifying behavior. Hey, you did this thing, you're doing this thing. Like, why now? Like, why are you trying to take action now? Why not just procrastinate? That's another one. You could literally ask them a question like that. Like, I'm just like curious, like, why not like push this off for like
I
another
don't
few?
understand people who are like to it's the other one where they're like, I'm going to try to figure it out on my own or something like that. It's like those guys never make any of the progress too. It's like, oh, I'm going to delay or da 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 da. It's like a lot of the I do like your approach though. It's like you're saying to be proactive about getting rid of those downstream issues. Someone in my DMs as we speak. Oh, there you go, brother. Are you a licensed CPA? Oh, is this art? Yeah, I'm starting a business. Yeah, cool, man. We'll get him on a find out what his problem is. Right, right. You got to find out what his problem is and get him on a call. There you go. There you go. And then qualify him. How do you solve the spouse objection? He's in the parenting biz, so there is that spouse objection every now and then. How do you get past that one?
Yeah, that's a good one. So here, ideally, you want to like, so for your offer example, you can easily like ask this, like somewhere in Discovery, you want to ask a support question of, gotcha. And your wife, is she supportive like everything we're talking about right now? I don't know the context of the offer, but you're talking about like whatever the problem is. Is she supportive of you solving this problem? They might say, yeah, definitely, or oh, she doesn't even know I'm on this call. And then you go into like a little like kind of mini discovery there.
Mhm.
Oh, if she knew you were on this call, what would she think? Is she supportive of you solving this problem? And you just want to get some form of commitment of, yeah, my wife is basically absolutely in support of me solving this problem. You're asking them questions there. But you might still get it at the end. Or they might still say, oh, well, I need to talk to my wife because that's just how we handle like our finances. We always have to talk to each other. So here, we want to dive a little bit deeper. So again, you're doing a mini discovery and we're asking things like, okay, no problem at all. I absolutely respect that. So, I mean, for you, I mean, like when you tell your wife about this, like, how do you think she's going to react? Like, that's like one of the first things I'll always ask.
Mm.
Then you can get like, they're either going to answer with certainty, like, oh, she'll absolutely be on board. I just not run it by her. Or they're going to answer like, like she might freak out over the price and everything. And so you can tackle it there. And so depending on their answer, you ask them a different question. Like, let's say they say like, oh, she's probably going to freak out. You basically want to coach them on how to get their wife on board as well. So how I do this is first I want to tie them down on certainty that they themselves are all in. They just want to get their wife on board. That way you're sitting on the same side of the table. It's not two versus one on their side, but he's actually on your side of the table now. It's like, okay, us, and let's get the wife on board as well. And so you say something like, yeah, cool. I mean, and then just so like clarity's sake here, I mean, are you like 100% certain like you want to do this? It's just like a matter of seeing if the wife can get on board as well. And that's why I call it tied out. So that's getting, if he says yes, like absolutely, I want to do this, it's just a matter of talking to my wife. Then cool. Now we're just coaching him on how to get his wife on board. And so, really ninja way you can do this. I know we're getting deep here. Let me know if I'm going too fast. So, Um, we basically just say, hey, can I give you some insight here of like just like what I've seen work best? Like I've done hundreds of these calls, so is it cool if I give you some insight? They're gonna say yes. I mean, in my experience, like really best way to get your wife on board here is you have to go there with certainty and leadership. Like let's be real. If you talk to your wife and you're like, well, I met this guy on the internet, like it's like $10,000. What do you think? Like of course she's gonna say no. So what you want to do is you want to confidently present, hey, I talked to this guy on the internet. He does X, Y, and Z. He solved this problem. I did all the research. I know this is the path I want to take to solve this problem. It's this much. I'm absolutely committed to this. Can I have your support in doing this? And you basically, you just like what I did there. I'm taking myself out now. I'm just coaching them on what to do, like how to actually convince their wife, right? And I would just tie down. Do you think you can actually like confidently do that, get her on board as well? All right. And that's how I get like further buy-in there. And then you can also take it a step further. What do you do if your wife says no? Some people are going to say like, "Oh, I'll just do it anyways," which is funny. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's not me, but if they say that, then you can sign them up, of
That's
course.
almost like thinking past the sale, though, Dan, right? If you're encouraging them to ask for support, it's like, you know, well, why wouldn't you support it, right? Not permission, right? Because that's a yes, no, right? You're asking for like, hey, let's get behind this, right? I think that that's really great. I think that's excellent.
Yeah. Let me know if you have any specific questions about that because I know like all these objection handles they run deep. Best way for most of them is really just going to be covered upstream in your discovery phase.
Absolutely. 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 I dropped a link to Jack Bly's newsletter, by the way. I want to make sure that you guys have a chance to go there and check it out. I would 100% sign up. 100% sign up right there. Okay. All right. Any other cues? Any other questions? I wanted to ask you one thing about this. What's your take on this has been like really popular. I don't know if you've been running these, but I've seen a lot of other big people run these kind of like these like workshops or something like that, like a freebie workshop or a workshop for like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, where it's like an hour or two long. It's a group webinar. They get like a couple hundred people inside of there and like they pitch them hard on like a high ticket offer. What's your whole take on that? Do you endorse that? Have you run those? Do you have any tips about that? Or are you just like, it's too complex and I just like doing right for the call?
I mean, so my answer for all these things are going to like I can go back to this original whiteboard.
Hmm.
So like it's all about this. So I really it doesn't matter what the method is. You can do a workshop, you can do a webinar, you can do whatever you want, but you have to like pick one method and dial this in. You need metrics for every step. And once you have it, once you know the metrics of your conversion rates and everything, it's predictable. So you just jam more into the machine. So it literally does not matter if you do ads, if you do the webinar, if you do the workshop, if you do this, but you just need to know the metrics so you know for a fact you're going to be profitable. Like that's what matters. And so for me, I don't care about workshops because my systems work. So I don't have to worry about anything else. Like I'm just going to jam more volume in my systems. So that's my answer.
I think that's a great response. Like, I think it's a great response because there is no like one way, right? There's no like magic bullet, and a lot of people they'll come to us and just be like, "Well, what's the look?" It's the way that you are best at executing, and so if it is that workshop, as long as you're doing all of those five things on the whiteboard during that workshop, then it works for you. Or if you're more comfortable getting on calls or DMs, even, right? So I think all of this is fantastic, Jack. What a great call. Hey, I want everybody in the chat. I'm going to end on that. What's the number one thing you learned? What is the biggest thing you took away from this? What is the biggest thing you took away? And y'all, the best way to start doing it is to implement. The best way to implement is to you get more people to get on calls with, get conversations going in DMs. Use their exact words. Absolutely. That's why you're talking to them, right? The whole point of the conversation is so that you can use their exact words. Solve objections upstream. I love that particular part. That's something I need to think about a little bit more. Don't give the person the chance to object smokescreen to you. Yep. Mm-hmm. The goals I have is stimuli. Yep. There's always some kind of catalyst. And I think today we talked a lot about that. And we could have like really, I'll keep reading these as it comes through, but there could be like an entire webinar on each one of these steps, like how to get attention, how to get people to book calls, how to qualify people. Like you could do an entire and just doing the calls themselves. This isn't something you're going to be able to get perfectly overnight. And I do want to say, by the way, Jack is one of the best coaches that is out there. Fully endorse of Jack Bly. Get on that newsletter. Keeping asking them why and go deeper. Yes. Okay, Andrea, that's one of the most underappreciated aspects of this whole thing. Most objections are BS. It's true. Jack knows this, right? Most objections are BS. It's probably because you haven't dug deep enough into their pain or you haven't worked enough to get those problems figured out ironed out upstream. If you have a great offer, people are going to buy it. You know what I'm saying? And so you failed to do something ahead of time. If you haven't, and probably because you haven't gone deeper. Okay, making clients happy will solve all your future problems. If there's one thing, like I'm just telling you the truth, guys, that's for the longevity of the biz. Okay. And I see a lot of these guys. I'm going to tell you right now, Jack Black, I'm going to Jack Bly. Jack Bly is always, he's been in business for a long time. He's always going to be in biz for a long time because of the principles and what he does, right? It works. And so a lot of these guys who have had short-lived internet businesses is because they haven't focused on giving their clients results. It's true. Jack does. That's why he's here. That's why you cannot build it at the end of the day if you're just, you know, snake oiling it and nothing that you do works, then the word's going to get out. You're not going to get testimonials and you're not going to be able to build a business that lasts a long time. How practical and simple it is to move someone across the sales space. I think that it's a lot easier than you guys think it is. It just, it has to do more with you analyzing it and keeping it as simple as possible.
Here, can I cut in here for a second?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so do you want to know the like easiest way to like figure out what stimuli actually works for like each of the stages?
Mhm.
Use a scientific method. So you test one thing, keep it consistent for a good sample size, and you observe results, or you observe the data. Is it converting at the rate that I want? If not, then you iterate and you just repeat over and over and over again. Like don't do random changes, like do scientific changes following that process. Like do that, please. It's impossible to fail if you actually do that over a long enough time horizon.
I love it. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Jack, I love what you do, man. I'm putting a link to your newsletter in this chat. I'm also going to put it inside of our notes for this call inside of our community. I appreciate you. I want to make sure I get this recording. So I'm going to hit stop on the recording. Where's the stop button here? Hold up a second. Pause.